when you address the situation.
Yeah, I'll get that too.
So when I got you somebody in 1 day versus 2 months, so you think about it.
So again, I feel the most pressure when people want a discount. And why do you feel that pressure? Because you feel you're gonna lose the sale. You don't.
That's part of
Can't
it.
lose what you never had. That's what you gotta act. You gotta, if they require you to discount to get the deal, then we missed something along the way. So
Now,
again,
this was a
don't
little
take,
different because he was never there through any of it. I feel like you say, that's what you're.
but that's a
conditioned for.
gambit that they do, that's higher authority. Remember, that's one of the gambits people do. All of a sudden, well, I don't really make the decision, Bob does, and Bob, well, I wasn't here when you started negotiating, so.
Because he did all the exact opposites. All he did was ask for a discount, and then I was like, well, after we got through it a minute of talking, I can't really do that. And he goes, well, she's old enough to make a good decision as long as she's happy. Writes the check.
He tried.
Yeah, and I feel like that's just
The
what.
point of
people
this
feel like
exercise
it's
for
right.
today is when somebody asks for a discount, is that you don't immediately bend under pressure. Because again, if you do, if you immediately discount, they'll keep bringing the rag. As long as they get water out of the rag, they'll keep bringing it. So you have to stop them and say something like, well, if I discount it, would it make sense I'd have to ask for something in return? Now, what would you want in return? If you really felt this person goes, boy, we're not getting a deal unless you discount, hey, I need something out of this. What would you want in return?
Quicker payment terms.
Okay, that's it. So that's when, if you do this program, somebody says, hey, can you discount 10%? Or, boy, I'll sign it, we got a deal if you give me 10% off.
Suppose they wasn't able to one time.
Yes, well, then we don't have a deal. If you don't discount, we're done.
I suppose I could, but instead of putting your 1/3 down, I'm gonna put.
Yeah, but you gotta get him safe. That's why you gotta say, if they're trying to back you in the corner, your exit ramp is, let's pretend I was able to give you a discount. Would it make sense I'd need something in return? And you shut up. And they go, why, what's that? Well, to get the discount, I'm gonna go back to my boss and ask for a discount and put my neck on the line. I'm gonna have to give him something. And what I'd like to say to him, would it make sense that I said that you put down more than our typical 20%, you put down half. Now you ask for half, what's he gonna do? He's gonna say, we don't need, all right, nah, let's just stay with the original deal. Right, but you didn't back yourself and say no. So don't feel that pressure, that's the whole thing. Don't feel the pressure of discount. You don't always have to discount to get the deal. One more question might get you more information. Help me understand, why do we need a discount? We talk about this price, I'm just curious, I'm off the record. What's behind this drive for this new discount price? Isn't that a great line right there? I'm just curious, off the record. I don't know, there's something about off the record that is weird.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything, but off the record, it's almost as a disarming that people, off the record. Hey, what's driving this new price that you're trying to get a discount? What's behind that? Well, we just had our dot got cut or dot whatever. Oh, okay. Let's pretend I couldn't do it. See, now you take away their leverage. Does that help you with I feel pressure when people want a discount? Okay. Then you're gonna say something.
I said, I wrote down, I feel much pressure, and I'm trying to perform basically in customer's house or ask the right questions when my brain just kind of goes into a fog and I get lost and I tend to revert back.
The brain is a wonderful, fantastic thing until you get in front of a prospect.
And I
Until you try to
forget
use it.
where I'm going or forget why I'm asking the question or, they're off topic and I get frustrated and I just go, come on, why am I even here then? What are you trying to accomplish?
Okay, so do you do it on a napkin? Do you do injunction? Do you show them the system? I would recommend that if that's the case, that you start finding yourself that you got all this information up here and you start forgetting it, that you show, hey, Mr. Prospect, do you mind if I show you how we're going to go about in the next 45 minutes, what we're going to cover? First of all, we're going to talk about reasons to do business. We're going to talk about some of your challenges and issues, what really some of your unique problems are. I didn't walk in here with a preconceived idea. So we're going to talk about, hey, but you don't use the word pain. Reasons to do business. Somewhere along the line today, we're gonna have to talk about the money, the investment you're gonna have to make to fix these problems. Right? So right after we talk about some of the problems, we'll talk about your ability to spend money it's gonna take to fix these problems. Then we'll talk about what your decision-making process is gonna be, how you're gonna go about making a decision. We call it the four-legged stool. We call it the value proposition. How you would evaluate my product or service against the competition and decide whether to move forward with me or not. Once I fully understand what your decision-making process is, what your budgetary restrictions are, and what your real problems are, would it make sense that I'd be able to do a better job of fulfillment? And they go, yeah. And all you're doing is you're showing them what the system is. And you do it on a napkin, a piece of paper, and you draw it out, and then you put it to the side. Then as you start going through the conversation and they start getting ahead of you, you can sit there, no, that's under budget, we'll get to that. Right, you take and you actually write it, actually we have it copywritten, it is called Wimp Junction. Are you gonna wimp out and just go back to doing benefits and features, or are you actually gonna go ahead and show them what your system is? And the reason it's called Wimp Junction, you're at this point where you can go to benefits and features, or you can go to pain selling. But if you write it out and you show them, and I actually use the baseball diagram, I actually do it in the draft. Hey, first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about pain. Then we're gonna talk about budget. Then we're gonna talk about decision. Then I can do fulfillment, and then I get to go home. They laugh at that one. Isn't that the object of today's game? It's just to go home, but with a check. But I can't go home without going to first, second, third base in that order. So now I've got it over there, and now they can't get ahead of me. Well, can you just tell me what you do? Yeah, as I said, but I need better information about your problems, your budget, and your decision-making process. And that way they don't get ahead of you. So my recommendation is you actually remember 55% of the world is visual, process of information visual. Visual people love when you do it that way, because now they can see what's going to happen in the next 45 minutes. Write it up. Yours was, I feel more special when,
But I'm unprepared.
okay, well that helps there too, same thing. Unprepared for what their problems are, you go to the meeting and you don't.
Yeah, when we get to meetings, things tend to sometimes steamroll. Maybe I'm encumbered with the formal process, and sometimes, they realize when we get the opportunity, a lot of the obstacles are the same. You get people are shopping and, give me your rate, give me your information, and I'll deal with this. Some of those are very similar, but our world's a little different in that, they could agree to coming on as a client, but knowing full well that the fulfillment end of it is a crapshoot, to be honest. So they could agree to do business, but we can't really promise the fulfillment. We talked about that. I mean, just, people are people, and we don't know if we're going to find, people in there. And by the way, it's okay to use other vendors in our world, because we're contingent on that. So,
Well, I want you to go into it. I'm glad that you actually feel unprepared. You really should, because I want you to go into these presentations with people curious and skeptical. And I want you to walk in with a polished presentation. Because when you hear a client say, that was the best presentation I ever saw, it means you were doing all the talking. You need to walk into it. Hey, I'm really not prepared today because I really wasn't sure what some of your real challenges, what's unique to you. I didn't walk in with a one-size-fits-all solution. You mind if we just have a conversation about what is unique to your needs? And then at the end of the day, we'll see if there's a fit. Go into it that way. If you read the book, Dave's book that I have over there, You Can't Teach Your Kid to Ride a Bike at a Seminar. I got to tell you the story of this and what's behind this. Dave's, most of the stuff, I've had a lot of people say, well, I've heard about some of the Sandler stuff, or I saw this in Spin Selling there. Dave Sandler was the first person in the 70s that started looking at sales as a science and really looking at the motivation behind what people do and why they do it the way they do, and work with Dr. Eric Burney on the transactional analysis. Up until that time, most sales was lead a horse to water, stick their head in it, make them drink. I can sell refrigerators, Eskimos, all that kind of high pressure sales kind of stuff. And he's the first one that started writing this stuff. And Dave went around the country doing training, 2-day boot camps for companies. Companies would hire him and he'd go in, and he didn't really have anything. He had you know, 3-ring binders and stuff like that. He didn't produce anything. Then his stuff, his content started showing up. Like Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. He stole that from Dave Sandler's 18 Traits of Successful People. We won a lawsuit against Spin Selling for stealing all of our stuff. So the lawyer said, hey, to protect your intellectual property, you have to write a book. So in 1995, Dave Sandler wrote this book, You Can't Teach a Kid to Ride a Bike at a Seminar, the Sandler 7-Step System. Unfortunately, he died in May of that year before the book actually even came out. He wrote the book was, he died, he fell in a shot in Baltimore Harbor and developed renal failure with his kidneys and ended up dying before the book came out. Okay? But in the book, he starts talking, now remember, the reason I said this is 95. In the book, he starts talking about when you go in, don't take anything in. Because if you can't carry a briefcase and everything and you walk in, what do you got in there? I'm ready to sell you.
Paperwork, yeah.
I'm ready to sell you.
I used to do that up until only 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Seriously.
And he says even do like walk in and say, you mind if I take notes? And the person says, no, go ahead. Do you have a pen and some paper? Now today, most people say, that looks unprofessional. What he was trying to get to is I want to look completely different than any other salesperson. And you even say, the reason I didn't bring in a pen and paper for this reason specifically, I didn't want you to think that I already had a preconceived notion. And if I walk in with a briefcase, wouldn't you believe I've got something I'm trying to sell you? So right, if you look, act, and sound like every other salesperson, to the prospect, all you are is every other salesperson. So he wanted you to walk in with nothing. So I would actually sometimes walk in and say, do you have a pen? Oh, you know what, I'm sorry, I do have one right here, I forgot. Any paper?
My cards, and they're in my wallet. But
Yeah. And people say, well, I can't do that. I gotta, went into this building, they're up on the 12th floor and I might need to go back and get my samples. Well, if you have your samples or you have whatever it is, when you walk in, put it in the corner, set it down. And I was going out with a bunch of insurance salespeople and I would ride along with them and they'd walk into somebody's house and the first thing you do is, hi, Mr. Browser, I'm here to quote you on some health insurance. Do you have an outlet? What are they looking for? I want to plug in their laptop. What they're telling the person is, I'm ready to give you a quote. I told the guy, stop it, put that down. Let's just have a conversation with somebody first. Why are you even pulling out your laptop?
I get so upset with that.
Well, because that's what's happening. The sales guys are so, I'm ready to sell you. When, hey, I don't know what you need. Let's have a conversation. Would that be okay? I think being unprepared can be an asset, not a hindrance. Because I think the people appreciate it. Sit there and say, I just, I don't know if what we've done for thousands of other people looking for placement's going to fit in your world. You mind if we just have a conversation about why you might hire us over the competition? And then if there's a fit, I'll show you what we can do. Would that be okay? And it's so unique and so different. It should work in your world. There's a lot of places you can go to try and listen and sell your business. Before we get into any of my stuff, do you mind if we just sit and have a conversation about what's unique to your world? Because that's what most people think, don't they?
That makes sense.
Well, most people think, hey, I'm unique. My situation's different.
yeah, you might have dealt with that, but I'm different.
Yeah. Yeah, when you say, with salespeople, what we want to do is justify our existence and show credibility. Oh, you're just like everybody. Oh, I've had people that had just the same problem. Let me tell you what I did for them. And just to see what the natural reaction was, he immediately shook his head. Oh, I'm different. No, I've dealt with people just like you. I've dealt with this a million times. I've got a lot of experience in this industry.
Yeah, they'll ask me that too. Have you sold anything in this industry before?
And that's important because,
Because you need to have knowledge of my business to properly market it.
would it be fair to say that what you're really asking is, do I have experience dealing with the same type of problems and issues that you have? Isn't that what you're really asking?
To an
Though I
extent,
might not have actually sold a popcorn stand before, the same challenges and issues that some of my other clients have might be the same ones you're
Sure.
having. What do you think is unique, and what kind of challenge do you have that I need to be able to help you with?
Well, just the way we design and bring our product to market.
Tell me more. Need somebody that, see, you go right into the tools.
I fell in your trap.
It's not exactly, and it's not a trap. It's just the whole system. It's following a systematic approach. do you believe, all right, if I'm selling my business and I said that to you, have you ever worked with anybody else selling a training business before?
And it's important to you because,
Well, think about it this way. Would I say to you, because if you didn't, we're done.
yeah, I'm sorry.
I'm only gonna work with somebody that has experience selling a business just like mine.
And
Because,
But that's not true, is it? See, that's what I'm saying, is that's what you thought. That's why you thought you had to answer that question in the past.
yeah,
It's not true. I'm not really gonna say I wouldn't go with you. I didn't know what else to ask, is what it's coming down to. So then you reverse it, and that's important to you because, well, I wanna know if you have to understand how to sell my business. Do you know enough about my business to find somebody else who might wanna buy my business? I appreciate that. That makes sense. Suppose I said, though I have not sold a specific business like yours, I am familiar with the same type of problems that you might be experiencing. Isn't that what you meant to ask me?
Yeah.
See, that's how you reverse. Remember, reversing is changing the flow of information. And a reverse changes the flow of information from you to them. That's what we're trying to do. The reverse is like the lock in a dam. It changes the flow of that dam. It changes the flow of information. Reverse them.
I've been thinking about that too. Maybe I should just bring my tablet for pictures just in case, and my clipboard. Don't bring in literature anymore. Don't bring
Well,
in.
have your car, but if you get to the next, when you get to fulfillment, then bring it out maybe. Hey, I gotta go in my car. I'll show you a sample. Does that make sense?
Well, I changed that completely. I did sales, well, like this started 10 years, but my first year, I had the little briefcase, I want to carry the samples in. I want to have everything in the home so I don't have to go out to the car. That actually was negative because getting out of the home to the car gives them a chance to talk about
Exactly.
other stuff,
Exactly.
bring up. So it's back and
And
forth.
then guess what happens? I want to
So now,
hold
so
it
now
on
I'm
for a second.
thinking like,
Here's what happens. You go back in the car and then you come back and you say to them, oh, you guys probably had a conversation while I was gone. You mind catching me up?
I would probably say, so I'm gonna go into the car to get the samples, and this is the time you guys get to talk to each other.
You don't even say it. They know they're going to do
Right,
it.
right.
But then you get to come back and say, hey, you mind catching me up to speed? And somebody will squirt out, well, we were really concerned about, or we were really talking about, or he said he really liked you.
well, and I just got tired of bringing the stuff in. So I went, you know what? Tablet, brochure, clipboard. That is it. If they want to see anything other than that, then I go up to the car.
I think I'm gonna.
Because I was like more efficient. I could do more. I can speed up more.
Well, the story of Dave is this, if you haven't understand where a lot of our content comes from, 80% of stuff we have now we've written recently, but 20% is still the basis of what Dave Sandler came up with. Dave Sandler's family was owned a family business, did vending machines, pop, cigarettes, and all that stuff. And his dad took on a partner because of gambling debts that the family wasn't aware of. And all of a sudden after his dad died, the silent partner came and said, by the way, I own the business now. Your dad owes me money. So at 37 years of age, Sandler's out of the family business. That's all he's ever known. And now he's got to go get a job selling. So he started going door to door selling Earl Nightingale motivational tapes. Remember him?
Yeah.
Someone know?
I think he did sports at Channel 6 back in the 70s.
Earl Nightingale actually did, I got the tapes down here somewhere. He did cassette tapes basically. He'd sell them to companies to give them to your sales guys to motivate them and put them in their car for drive time. And so door to door, he's got to go through Baltimore. He's going door to door and he's going carrying this whole big case of all these. He started thinking about, nobody's ever played them. Why am I carrying this case of CDs? As soon as I walk in to the receptionist, I'm saying, salesman, warning, warning, salesman. And instead, he just started playing the Lost and walking in and said, hey, can you help me? And he's doing this. And the reception, yeah, sure, why, what's going on? I had it written down. The sales manager of this company, I had it written down. I can't find his card. Oh, you mean Bob Smith? Bob Smith, that's right. Bob Smith. He's not available, is he? I just had another appointment across the hall. I didn't know if he was available. Right. And they go, no, he's not available right now. That's okay, because it's 10 o'clock and I've got to be across the hall for another appointment. Hey, tell Bob I'm across the hall and I'll stop back when I'm done. Okay. Right? he didn't carry anything in. Then he come back and say, hey, is Bob available? Yeah, he was. What was this all about? Oh, he doesn't know? No. Bring him out. Because all I want to do is see the guy, right? But as soon as he carried in that briefcase, everybody immediately, he's not here. The gatekeeper went into her, mode.
Put up,
Right.
put up Trump's law.
So again, his whole chapter, the one chapter is you look, act, and sound like your competition. To your prospect, all you'll be is the competition. So what are you doing differently?
Lower price.
Yeah, lower price. All right, who else has got one before we move on? What do we
Quick
get?
interject, you went Rich Dan, one of our client managers, did a little thing. He did that with someone, and he wanted me to tell, because you don't come today, he says, tell Wayne. He did that on the phone with somebody, said, he left a message to it, just very confident, that first thing. Guy called back, and Rich never talked to this guy, met this guy or anything before again. Rich, nice to hear from you again. Going on, the guy, it was just that confidence that he exuded on the message. Guy responded right away, and that they knew each other, and they started an engagement, and it's turned out to something. So
Yeah, typical salespeople call up and they say, hi, I'm Wayne Dean. I'm with Sandler Training. We're the latest, greatest, most improved Sandler Training company. Really like to have some time. Really appreciate it if you give me a time to come in and talk, right? That might be, give me a call when you get a chance. Or, hey, it's Wayne Dean. It's important we talk. Give me a call. How do you feel about that message?
Who is this guy? What does he
But
mean? Why is
he's
it
trying to trick
important?
me. He's trying to trick me. See, people are afraid that a salesperson is going to trick them into returning the phone call. Right? You've heard all those things. So I don't want you to trick them. The phone call I tell is, hey, it's Wayne Dean. Not sure if that name rings a bell. I'm not sure if it's important that we talk. Give me a call at 262-490-45. You know what? That's my office number. Let me give you my cell. I'll be driving this afternoon to Madison from 1 o'clock till 3. That's a great time to try and reach me. Now, would you return that phone call? Because people return phone calls out of curiosity. What salespeople do is they make mistakes of leaving, think I got to leave a whole bunch of information to motivate this person to call me. No, all I want to do is call them back. I don't want to educate them today. I want to sell them on the appointment. I'll educate them later. And that's what he did, probably. He did a good message and he returned the call. Rich. Okay, good. Who else before we move on next? I feel most pressure when. Do we give you enough help there on that one? All right. My biggest fear is, what's your biggest fear when it comes to selling? Nobody wants to admit it. What'd you say?
Not selling.
Not selling. My biggest fear is not hitting my numbers.
Let's say, as far as like the selling process goes, there's not much that I feel like fear about. It's just the person that's going to open the door, what they're like. Because some people are just so, and for not any good reason, they might have got a speeding ticket that day. Some people are just so hostile or so angry.
Okay. So my biggest fear is I'm going to have an adversarial conversation with this person because they're already in a bad mood. Okay, that's a good one. My biggest fear is they're just going to steal my price and go shopping. And that's your biggest fear?
That could be one of them, yeah.
No more? There's no other bigger fears?
That we didn't provide enough information or something at that point in time
I think
to
it's
help them make an educated decision.
leaving the home and not feeling like you performed well.
Got it. All right, so here's the key on this one. Whatever your biggest fear is, or fears, write them down and then share them with your client. Hey, do you mind if I share with you my biggest fear? When you show vulnerability, most salespeople don't show vulnerability. When you show it to your client, you bond with them. They appreciate that. Hey, do you mind if I share with you my biggest fear? My biggest fear is that I'm not going to do an adequate job of showing you my product and service. So when we get done today, can you help me overcome that? See, most people want to help you, don't they? My biggest fear is that, you weren't really excited about having a salesman come over to your house today. Survivor comes on in 20 minutes. You probably didn't have a good dinner. My biggest fear is that we're going to rush through this because nobody really gets excited about having a salesman come over to their house. Right? And let them know, now who's the ball? Whose court is it in? Let them go, oh, no, don't worry about that. Hey, I understand. No, we're going to have dinner later. We're going to order something. Everything's fine. You need anything? You want See, they're gonna wanna help you through your fears. It is a natural human reaction to wanna help somebody else. So share with them what your biggest fear is. And then do what? Well, after you talk about them, say, what's your biggest fear? As we start this process, what's your biggest fear? What do you think the homeowner's biggest fear is?
Getting sold.
Right, they're gonna say, what's your biggest fear? And well, what do you mean? Well, a lot of people say their biggest fear is they don't know anything about the new technology in building windows. They don't know anything. And they're afraid that a salesman's gonna try and sell them something they don't need or want. I don't suppose that's a concern you have, is it? What would they say? Yeah, yeah. What do we need to talk about so that we can help alleviate that fear? I mean, you're melting, right now, you're doing a Vulcan mind melt together, right? You are, because again, when we start sharing feelings, remember, people buy emotionally, they validate logically later. You are emotionally connecting with them when you say, hey, you mind sharing with me your biggest fear? And do you mind if I share with you my fear? We can get all that out of the way so we can have a really just an honest conversation. Yeah, no.
I've never shown, I never want, personally for me, because I want to have, I don't know, a mental confidence or whatever, I never want to show vulnerabilities, but you bring up a valid point because, you know, the more vulnerable or you feel somebody is, you want to provide assistance to them. You know, my child comes up to me last night, it was pretty cute, but funny at the same time. What? Okay. Try to say something really loud. And it comes out like a squeak. How do I help the person who lost it?
Don't you want to help them, right?
Nobody will make fun of you. It's no big deal.
What are other fears that your clients might have?
I'm sorry.
What other fears your clients might have?
Getting,
You
you trying to get them to spend more money than they originally felt comfortable with.
Yeah, so let's get it out of the way. This is all part of the upfront contract under your agenda. Under your agenda in the upfront contract is where you bring this up. Do you mind if I talk about what some of my fears are? And what are some of your fears? You mind sharing with me your fear? And they go, well, what do you mean? Well, a lot of my clients are afraid that we're going to sell them something at a higher price that they don't need, that they could get away with just a basic entry-level product, and they're afraid that I'm going to try and sell them something more expensive. Is that something you were worried about? And you go, well, yeah, okay, not to mention it. What do we need to talk about to help alleviate that fear? Well, tell me why I should spend more money for an expensive product or service. What would you hope? Again, if you did spend more money, what would you expect in return? What would you want us? See, again, you don't have to answer the question. They have the answer to the question. It's part of Socratic selling. If anybody's read Socrates' book, anybody? Yeah. Socrates said that all knowledge is already out there, or there's no new knowledge, and all knowledge is out there. And his philosophy was, it's all in our head, we just don't know how to access it. It's the same thing as everybody knows why they should buy your product or service. You're just the tour guide to help them discover it. You don't have to give them the information. You don't have to pound it in there. It's already in there. They already know why they should spend more money and get a better product. They already know why they should get triple pay as opposed to double. They already know it, don't they? It's there. It makes sense. But we think a salesperson, we have to ram it into their head. It's there. We just need to unlock it. And you do it by asking, hey, what's your biggest fear? What are you concerned about? What are you worried about? What do we need to talk about to overcome that fear? And I want you to start thinking, God, this guy ain't a salesman. This guy's not like any other salesperson. That's what you're trying to get. Any others that you want to go over? I would ask that you start incorporating in your upfront contract. I'm doing this in segments as we do all these things. You can start adding into your upfront contract. But in upfront contract, you mind if I share with you my biggest fear? My biggest fear is that I love my product or service. And my biggest fear is I'm going to regurgitate a bunch of stuff that really doesn't matter to you. So if I start doing that, would you do me a favor and just hold me back and make sure I ask you questions instead of just telling you why I would buy for my reasons? Got it? A no makes me feel,
Uncomfortable is the first word that comes to mind.
I like that one. Do you like being told no by your parents?
I just figure out how to make it.
None of us, we have been conditioned not to like the word no, haven't we?
Mine's different. I'm competitive.
No makes you feel competitive, tell me more.
Well, I feel like, I feel a little.
Figure out how to get
defensive,
into
and I think
yes.
the chase is on, and I think that,
Oh, get
that'll
your
then
juices
sell you as
flowing.
we get to hear the word no, in relation to what we're doing here.
Why do you say?
So what's
It's a challenge now. I'm not getting the easy way. Now I feel it's like, okay, now,
Well, the point of this exercise is I want you to go for the no. I want you to go for the right? Because no's not a bad thing if you go for the no. And it could be things like, hey, when we get done, I'm okay with you telling me no. Are you okay? Are you gonna feel comfortable telling me no? If there's not a fit, are you comfortable saying, no, I don't want to hire you? Now, a D will go, damn right I can tell you no. Right? And D's will be very aggressive about it. The I's will go, oh, I wouldn't do that to you because I want you to like me. Right? S's will go, we'll see from they're calm and laid back. They're not, and the C's will go, well, if the numbers don't fit. You can tell a lot by somebody's disc profile by asking them, hey, are you comfortable when we get done telling me no? Because a no is a good thing. We don't waste time chasing somebody. If I can't help them, it's okay. It's all right. But they won't say no because, yes, because we're using their system against them. That's why you needed to understand the buyer-seller dance. Right. You haven't got all your stuff, so they won't say no at this point. But it does change the complexion of your conversation because they aren't used to a salesperson saying it's okay to tell me no. Most salespeople have been taught what? Don't take no for an answer. Push. There was an actual study by Notre Dame University on selling that the average client says no 7 times before they say yes. Right? And so salespeople have been taught, yeah, you're going to get to no 7 times before they say yes. Do you want to buy my car? No. Do you want to buy my car? No. Do you want to? Okay. Eventually they say yes. And that's the mentality of a lot of salespeople. That the client's going to say no. When they say no, they don't really mean it.
They just don't know about it.
Yeah, they just don't know about all the benefits and features that I have. Right? Well, the problem with that is, yes, sometimes people buy, but I think they buy in spite of that kind of salesperson, not because of them.
And they don't get return business.
Right. You got to say, oh, but you don't have a happy customer. It wasn't a great experience. So the no should make you feel the opposite. No makes me feel, oh, good.
Got that out of the way.
We got that out of the way. We're done. Okay.
Right now, we're going through getting a new financing program and everything else. So they're gonna tell me, no, okay, that's fine, we can come up with a different financing plan, we can make it more affordable. That's their line all the time, the financing. If you only show them $6,000, but you can show them a payment plan that they can get $11,000 down, maybe they'll do the $11,000. So you can actually build your contract, and make it bigger just to be safe. The financing companies just kind of make me laugh because I'm like, they're overselling me. Like, I'm already going to use this service anyways, and I'm going to use it for the ability to sell a few more clients, but I'm not using it as a regular occurrence to make people force me to buy more stuff from me.
But they're ramming it down.
But I just kind of am chuckling about it. Now that I'm hearing these salespeople on the phone going through the pro class right now for a while, you can almost hear and see and understand where people are going in the conversation before they're even done spilling.
Anybody else change your whole thought process on, I need a paradigm shift here.
If you'd have asked them for like when we started the class, it would have been different.
No, it makes me feel like I defeated, I failed.
But now it's like, oh, well, now I'm saving myself time because I don't have to call them. Now I'm saving office time because they don't have to call them or keep calling them or send them emails or do this or do that. So it's like saving 5 different people an hour each with a no right away. So it's beneficial for everybody.
Me as a manager, though, I hear that we've pushed off so many clients, and that's the thing, because don't wanna push off a client when they're like buy from us.
We don't want to say no, but we want them to say no.
Right.
Remember, never help the prospect end the meeting. Never say anything like, no, we wouldn't do it. With this Coakley moving in storage, I screwed up. She said, emails me over the holidays on New Year's Day. Hey, I want to talk about sales training again. If you got any classes coming up, I want to put 3 people in sales training. Okay, so I emailed back. I said, I don't like to negotiate over the phone. Would it be okay if we meet? How about I'm going to be available such and such afternoon? And I didn't get a response, so I called her the other day and got a hold of her. And hey, Don's Wayne saying we're training. Oh yeah, okay. But what are you looking for? Well, I just want to put some people in class. I go, yeah, but what are you hoping to accomplish? Trying to get paid, trying to figure out what they want other than just put people in a class. What do they want? Well, I believe in sales training. I've been through sales training. Went through your training in 2014. I went through Dale Carnegie, and so we're just looking for some classes like Dale Carnegie. They put a bunch of classes out, and I made the mistake. I said, well, I'm not Dale Carnegie. And she goes, well, boy, did that make her mad. I know you're not Dale Carnegie. This probably is going to work. And I said, and why is that? Very nurturing. Well, if you're going to be snarky about it, I said, oh, my sincere apologies. Some people think that I'm like a broker, and I broker Santa classes and Dale Carnegie classes and spin selling classes. And I just didn't know if you knew that or not, that I'm not Dale Carnegie. Okay. Now, I could have, and I thought to myself, you know what, screw it. Just end it. Be done. Don't need them. But remember, sales is about going to the bank, not getting your emotional needs met. All right? Emotionally, I could have think, yeah, well, I don't want to work with you either. If you won't meet with me, you want to do everything by email, right? Well, why should I do that? And instead, I swallowed it, sorry, apologize, and I can show you I just got the money wired in my account this morning. Why would I say no to somebody like that? Because I would have felt better for a couple of minutes, but I lost the money. Never say no to the prospect. Remember, they'll shoot somebody. Even if it's point, hey, suppose I said, I'm not feeling there's a fit here between us and you. Why do you suppose I think that? Again, throw it back to the client. Why would you say to them, you know what, there's not a fit? You're going to be this snotty about it. You're going to act like this. We don't even want you as a client. Right? And you feel good for a minute, right? I told them off. But what do you gain? Nothing, right? You didn't gain anything except that personal feeling for a few minutes. Sales is about going to the bank for you and your company, not getting your emotional needs met. That's what your friends and family should be for. So what I was going for this one is no makes me feel okay. No makes me feel fine. No is okay. Instead of no makes me feel defeated, rejected. So I hope this one is okay for her. Remember I told you the one about how to ask a girl to dance? Remember?
Mhm.
Do you remember that one at all?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's say I see this girl at a bar. We start making eye contact and start seeing her. I send a drink down to her even. She knows, I start walking to her. She knows that I'm about ready to ask her out or ask her to dance. But she's like, how do I tell them no? I'm going to say no, right? So I walk up to her and I say, hey, would I be stepping on anybody's toes if I was to ask you out? I'm going for the no, because the no is really a yes then. Isn't it? Would I be stepping on anybody's toes if I was to ask you out? And she was ready to say no, thinking I was going to ask her to dance. And so there's a lot of times you think, no, what just happened here? So again, with the client, if I said there's probably not a fit between us, would you agree? No, I wouldn't agree. See, are they agreeing to yes or are they agreeing to no? No is not a bad word. No is okay. If somebody says no, there's not a fit, I appreciate that. I've even gone this far. So I'm not going to sell you. You're not going to buy. We can establish that. Right. Okay. The pressure's off. You're not going to buy. I don't have to sell you. Now that the pressure's off, what could I or should I have done that would have made a difference? Huh?
I said, that's humorous to me because I'm sitting at a customer's table and I already know it's not going anywhere, you know? And, you know, I just, well, I'll get you that quote.
Hey, but you really should, hey, it sounds like it's done. I mean, I could go, we could play this game where I'm gonna go get back, you get a quote, but you're really never gonna buy from me, right? You're not gonna buy, I can't sell you. Okay, yeah, we're done. Pressure's off. Hey, I gotta feed my family, so you mind if I ask you a question just for my future reference? Does that help? Is that okay? And I know you're not gonna buy. But what could I or should I have said that would have changed and made a difference? Well, if you had done this, this, and this. You know, and then there's the line. Are we past the point of no return? Are we past the point of no return? What do you think clients say? Well, I wouldn't say that. I mean, because if you can do what I just said, there's, again, it's the whole line you've heard, you know, it's not over till the fat lady sings. But you get to introduce her. You decide whether it's over or not. Don't let the client decide. A no can be a good thing. All right, last one. The one area I would like to improve in. If there's one area you could get better at, what would it be?
Questioning.
Questioning.
That seems to be the most, to me, the most beneficial.
Have you done it yet?
The question mark? No.
Do it right now. Throughout the day, I want you to look, put a question mark on your hand, and throughout the day, just get better at asking questions. Does that make sense?
Get a tattoo.
You know, I thought about that seriously. I don't personally like tattoos, but I have thought about putting a question mark on here. If you just look at my office, I have the big question mark that lights up. Even.
Really?
Yeah, you haven't seen it?
No.
When you took it on sale.
What did happen to the question mark? It's a better way to say it. You're asking me a question about. Another question.
Is it up here somewhere?
Another question.
It's almost in the other room. It's a good light bulb. You plug it in, it's got a question mark on it.
I've never seen it.
I don't think you have one.
It's gonna be plugged in. It's been out here before.
I don't think I've seen it.
Why would it vibrate?
Because Lori was in here cleaning.
Is that a bad thing?
No.
Good. Good. See, that helps. Seriously.
Where do you think of it?
Here's what you can do. Seriously, if you really want to have fun. Next, do you have appointments scheduled with anybody?
Not this week.
Okay. Next appointment you go to, I want you to put the question mark out there. And when you're in, say, hey, you probably wonder why I have a question mark on my hand. And this prospect, here's the reason. I think we have the, I mean, it's a family business. I think we have the best product and service. And I tend to want to get out and tell everybody how great our products and services are. And what I do is I put a question on to remind me to ask you questions. Because wouldn't it be fair to say that it doesn't matter what I say, it matters what you say? So if I start telling you too much about how we're the latest, greatest, most improved, would you just point to my hand and remind me to ask you questions? They love it because they feel they're in control. You'd be surprised if put in the question format. They will hold you accountable for the behavior you're looking for. You have the guts, discipline, and vitality to try that.
I suppose it's almost like going back to the thing where you always want to help somebody. So if somebody asks you for help, and then you see them veering off, you're always going to be like, well, hey.
And I'll do it, well, I might as well do it now because I've got an appointment this afternoon. And I'll just remind myself to do it too. I woke up with it like a question mark on my cheek.
Just don't rub it in for it.
Lori, you did it again, did you?
I woke up with third period science.
All right, next one. The area I would like to improve upon gives us questions. Anybody else? What area in the system would you like to improve upon?
I put consistency.
Of doing the program, doing the system?
Yeah, a lot of that stuff. I know it's all about consistency, but the thing is, it's like, sometimes I feel that I feel I have to be, I think we take the time that we got, trying to right size my approach to the time that I have in engagement. That makes sense. I want to be consistent. I can't be everything. I have to have an hour, 2 hours. You set the upfront contract. I have to have 15 minutes, you know? But I want to be consistent within the time that I have. Quote process.
Then the thing to be the most consistent on, which step in the system, Sandwich system, should you make sure you do every single time? Upfront contract. Yeah, you might not be able to get to the fulfillment. Remember, you don't have to do every step at every system, you might only do buy, report, upfront contract, and change. And then go back and they'll have to work about budget. I mean, it's not designed that you complete all steps at the first meeting. But the one that you have to be consistent on is be consistent on your upfront contract. And the only way you can get consistent on your upfront contract is to write it up, have it written up like a script. Most actors will tell you that if they read a script 12 times, they get their lines. Does that make sense? So when you do your upfront contract, I gave out last week, I thought I had some here, but I don't. So upfront contract. So let's review. First, what are the elements of upfront contract? 5 elements of upfront contract. Time. Number one, time. How much time do we have, Mr. Prospect? When we set this up, we said we had 45 minutes, so that's still good.
Prospect agenda.
Their agenda,
Anything else?
your agenda,
My agenda.
likely outcome. What's the one you guys are missing though? You give me 4 and you skip the second one. Time objective. Because when you say, what would be the objective? What's the purpose of today's meeting? Most of the time, I just want to get your price. Anything else on your agenda besides price, what do we need to talk about? That's why you do it that way. How much time do we have? And in the 45 minutes we have, this will be a great meeting. What do we need to accomplish? What's the first objective? And remember, whatever objective they give you is never the real one. That's why you said anything else on your agenda, anything else you want to talk about. Here's my agenda. I'd like to talk about, I've got this other product that you might not be aware of. We also do this. And you put it in there and then likely outcome. And when we get done, if there's not a fit or any time, I like to say it this way, if any time during the 45 minutes, the minute you decide you wouldn't buy from me, I'm okay with you telling me no. Don't waste another 45 minutes of your life. We'll never get back to you. I mean, if you've already decided, because I have body odor or I said something offensive, as soon as you decide that you wouldn't buy from me, I'm okay with you telling me no. Are you okay telling me no? Okay. And are you all right if I tell you no? And then if it's not a yes and it's not a no, when we get done, what else could it be? I want them to say, well, think it over. I might have to think it over. Yeah, I appreciate that. But a lot of times, think it over is disguised as a polite or slow no. Please don't do that to me. I mean, if it's a no, I'm okay with that. And if you need to think about it, then it would make sense. The worst case scenarios would have to ask schedule another meeting. I guarantee your sales will go up if you leave every sales opportunity with a yes, no, or a clearly defined next step. That's the one guarantee I'll make.
I'll share this interjection. Example I'll give here is we have a meeting at 11 o'clock, a company down in Texas, locum, temporary doctor contract. We're going to partner with them. We already do the business. Contract's done. The sale is done. Everything's done on that. Meeting today is implementation. So when I talk about consistency, to use this for like, what's the next step? Because again, in our world, we have the agreement, but it doesn't mean anything unless we lead to implementation and fulfillment and post-sale. So this is
Do an upfront contract for today's meeting about what the objective of today's meeting is.
Correct. Same thing.
No mutual mystification. So that's what I want to get to make sure there's no mutual mystification. When you go meet with a client, what are you going there for? Typically to sell them, right? What do they think you're coming there for?
Give me the price.
Right, so we got mutual mystification. We're not there on the same agenda. That's why you do the upfront contract. Ever have a client say, hey, just want to let you know, I'm not buying anything today. I appreciate that. That's great. Takes some pressure off me because I can't sell you anything today. All I can do is take an order. And they, what? Well, I can take an order, but you know, you have 3 days right of refusal. So even if I took an order today, no sale would be complete for 3 days anyway. Isn't that true?
Mhm.
But it bends their mind. Again, they don't know what to do with that now. See, we took them out of their system. I started to say what a paradigm is. You know what a paradigm is, right? A paradigm is a mistaken belief in an old identity. Okay? For example, who invented the digital electronic watches? What country did that come from?
US.
Swiss.
And you laugh when you say Swiss, you laugh because,
Swiss class.
yeah. Well, most people say China, Japan came and made he's actually right, Swiss. The Swiss invented it, and then what happened was when the inventors of the digital watch went to the manufacturing giants in Switzerland and said, hey, here what we have, they go, well, what's this? There's no gears, there's no levers, there's no mainspring. This can't be any good. And they didn't take it to production and let the international patent lapse on it. And the Japanese took it after the international patent and created the digital watch and made millions of dollars and basically destroyed the Swiss watchmaking business, because up until that time, the Swiss had 90% of the world market. Now they have less than 10%, but they're the ones that created their own watch because they had a mistaken belief that, oh my God, this can't be good. There's no mainspring, there's no strings to it. Kind of thing. That's a paradigm.
Dad joke. What did the digital clock say to the watch?
Look,
No hands.
okay. All right. Another one. Where do you think a bicycle? When the bicycle first came out in the early 1900s, who made the saddles, the seats? Who made them? The same people who made saddles for horses, leather. So they made it in the shape like that. If you think about the shape of a bicycle seat, for most of us, it's not very comfortable, isn't it? Right. Years ago, a professor in the University of Minnesota came up with a seat. It's two buns. Have you ever seen them? It's actually two buns. If you ever get on one of them, it makes no much sense. It doesn't go on your crack. It support your buns. But we have a paradigm shift that, oh, that's not a bicycle seat. It is too weird. And it has never really taken on and got much of the market for the bicycle. Most bicycle manufacturers, when they put a seat in, they buy the regular bicycle seats, and it's an aftermarket item. It's a paradigm shift that we have. And there's a lot of things that we see that there's a better product or service, but our mind can't accept it. For example, you know, in Germany, the cars in Germany are completely different than the Audi you might get here. And the cars over there run on diesel and they get over 50, 60 miles a gallon. Why don't we have that here?
Because our damn government.
No, oil companies.
But it's a paradigm shift for the people. Why isn't I can go over and buy a car over there, import it over here, and over a couple of years, it actually would be cheaper with the mileage that it gets. So why isn't everybody doing that? Because there's a paradigm shift. If you think anybody knows anything about engines, a diesel engine is a much better engine, runs forever. But it completely operates different than a regular, and so we can't get our mind around that we should have diesel engines. Everything over in Europe is diesel engines. What's more effective?
Or electric.
Right. Right. We as Americans can't get our mind around those things. There are paradigm shifts, and that's the same thing here. The reason I'm talking is we can't sometimes get our mind around pain selling, the Sandler system, as opposed to benefits and features. It's a paradigm shift, the switch from selling a client with benefits and features to, I have no idea why you might buy my product or service. Why don't we have a conversation about what you need, and then we'll see if there's a product. Remember, the typical people, I get a lot of people saying, well, I'm doing the Sandler system. We're doing it this way. What's your problem? Oh, let me tell you, I'd fix it. We got this, the latest, greatest, most improved. We got this. By the way, can you make a decision? And do you have any money? Right? Isn't that how most people sell? It's a simple paradigm shift that I can't do fulfillment until I fully understand what your pain is, what your budgetary restrictions, and how you're going. Once I fully understand these, doesn't it make sense, Mr. Prospect, that I can do a better job of fulfillment? I can design a product or service that fit your needs when I fully understand these things. You get it? You all see it? Well, that's what you have to show them. You have to show them, look, the reason I'm not jumping and spilling my candy right now in the lobby is because I don't fully understand these things yet. So the one area that I'd like you to get improved on, that I hope you should say, is I want to get better at showing my clients what I'm doing. I want to get better at setting the expectations. Because that's what the upfront contract is about, is managing the expectation. I want to get better at managing their expectations right from the get-go. I've said it before. Wouldn't you love it if a car sales guy told you what his system was? You went in to buy a car. You look at the sticker price on the car. Now, you've done your research on the internet, so you know that that car is probably marked up 20%. So the sales guy comes up and says, hey, you know, here's what's going to happen. You're going to tell me that you like that car, but you want it for 20% off. I'm going to say, no, that's a very popular car. We don't need to discount it. I probably sell that 3 or 4 of those models off a lot today, but I like you. So let me tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go talk to the sales manager and see what I can do. Actually, he's not even here, but I'm going to make you sit at my desk and stew for a little bit. I'm just going to go out in the back and have a cup of coffee. Then I'm going to come out and say, no, he wouldn't go for the 20% off, but he did throw in 3 oil changes. Wouldn't you just respect them for telling you what the system is? Right?
Yeah, I'm gonna use that, writing it down for sure.
So write it down, tell them what your system is, show them what you're gonna do. When you show them this, even if you do it basically, you show them this, and you say, so when we get to fulfillment, I'll only be pitching to your needs, not mine. I'll only be showing you what I think can solve your problem at a price you can afford. Would that be fair? Now, you might have to say, remember, whatever budget they gave, we just got their expectation. We're not going to hold to this number. They might have told me that they got $10,000. Before you slide in the third, you say, hey, Mr. Prosper, I'm about ready to show you how I can solve your problem. I got a problem, though. To be able to solve your problem, it's probably going to be 3,000 or 4,000 more than you were expecting. Probably don't even want me to show you to you then, right? What would they say?
Well, no, I still wouldn't see it.
Why?
Well, have you-
I said, why would you want to see it? Even, I mean, unless you would be willing to spend the extra $3,000, there's no reason to show it to you.
Well, if it's as great as you say it is.
So you might spend the extra $3,000?
Maybe.
Okay, then I might show it to you.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't if the person says absolutely not, then I'm not going to pitch. Close before you present. It's called the ultimate upfront contract right in here. The ultimate upfront contract, I'm about ready to show you I can solve your problem for you can afford. I'm just curious if I could do that, what would happen next? Now I'll get an unsettled contract for you. Terms of the contract. You show them how you can solve the problem at that price, you should have a deal. They shouldn't be. I need to think it over. Close before you present. Get the commitment before you show it to them. Because once you show it to them, now they can sit there and say, PIO. Close before you present. That's what I'd like you to get better at, is making sure they know what you're doing. I don't want this, there shouldn't be any mutual mystification. There shouldn't be any where they're standoffish. What is he trying to do? What are they trying to trick me into? No selling encyclopedias. I told you how we used to sell them. Greatest example of benefits and features selling. I'd walk into somebody's house, and first of all, here's what they taught you. As soon as they open, knock, 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 back in the door, you step 1 foot on the threshold so they kind of close the door on. Okay, and then you walk in and you carry only the World Book one of them. They say, hey, do you mind if I take a few minutes to show you about the great, educational things for your kids, why you should have World Book, why you should have these here. Now, to have the 24/7 encyclopedias isn't a bad thing, right? To have them in your home, let's just establish it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing in case it's a Sunday afternoon, your kids want to do a book report, the library's not open, they can go, the internet's down, they can have all these references. So it's a good thing, right? Unless your wife throws it at them. Having the encyclopedia is a good thing, yeah. The problem is they're $1,200, right? Yeah, that's a lot of money. Okay, but if I could give them to you for $30, would you do it? For $30, I'll give you the entire set of encyclopedias. Would you do it?
So,
Yeah. So you can afford $30
Yeah.
this month.
and next month. Next month.
Now, how does a person feel?
Sure.
tricked, manipulated, or if I'm selling insurance. What's your wife's name? Well, if something should happen to you, you wouldn't want your wife to have to worry about changing her lifestyle, doing all these things. You'd want her to be protected and secure, right? And she's sitting right next to him. What is he gonna say?
No, let her suffer.
Yeah, let her die. I don't care. You know, I'm dead anyway. Well, that was the trick. Now I'm manipulating. So life insurance was a good thing.
Right.
Yeah, for her.
And
Well, how does
well
the
on
person
line.
feel when you tricked them into that now? In front of my wife, you tricked me into, I need life insurance. So again, yes, you're right. What happens is they buy and then they cancel. They have a 10-day free look period. The life insurance has got some of the highest cancellation. Because once you get the policy in the mail, it says red covered. You have 10 days free right of cancellation. So now in the 10 days, you change your mind. Say, hey, honey, we don't really need that money. You don't really need, well, the house is our asset. I don't need, and you cancel it. Because you're tricked, manipulate, con, coerce. That's what most people think selling is. Selling is about conning, tricking somebody to buy something they don't need or want. They, no matter what you think at the beginning, that's in the back of their mind. We need to break through that paradigm. We need to change that thought process by being different than everybody else, by doing these things. So that's what I hope you leave here with is, okay, I've got 4 things I feel the most pressure when I'm going to overcome that. My biggest fear is this. I'm going to share it with the person. I'm going to go for the no, and I'm going to work on this one area and get better at it. Just don't sit here for 90 minutes, leave here and then think, what am I going to do as a result of this training? As a result of sitting here today, what am I going to do different? I really believe my title should be, instead of sales trainer, behaviorist. Because my job is to change human behavior, right? What behavior did I change as a result of you being here today? That's what you got to look at. You got to change behavior. What are you going to do differently? Each time you're here on a Friday, what you need to think about is, what am I going to work on so that I change my typical behavior? Make sense? Anybody else want to give me, as a result of the days I'm going to work on, or I'm going to stop or start doing what? As a result of today's training, I'm going to start or stop.
I'm gonna use the question mark next time.
Use the question mark. There's one.
I'm gonna write out the,
Write out the system.
baseball system. and
Show it to 'em.
Show it to them and say, this is what I'm trying to accomplish.
There you go. Great.
I would do that attractive.
Yeah, just show them the system. Show them what you're doing. They will love you for it.
Yeah, a lot of times they'll try to jump around and ask all kinds of questions.
By the way, the system is to their benefit, isn't it? Isn't this really for their benefit?
Theirs and mine, because now we're both gonna keep each other on task to be more efficient.
And then we're not wasting an hour and a half, 2 hours.
And then like you get that
Battling
appointment,
about
there's
stuff.
2.5 hours and you're like, God, I just gotta get out of here. Like,
That's what I hate when the sales guys come over to my house and they don't tell me what their system is, and I'm,
Sorry.
how long are we gonna be here?
Well, you didn't know.
Don't you? I mean, even when you're, how many of you have gone to buy a car? And you don't know. I mean, I hate this the thing. Can I give you? I need your car for test drive, and they go test drive your car, and then they hide the keys. You know that, don't you? So that you can't do the best or final. Give me a better deal, or I'm walking out of here. Go ahead. We got your keys. Don't you hate that? That's a system they do. They're taught not to give your keys back after the test drive so that they can control you.
Yeah, well, I know that, James. So when I go in to buy a car, I keep my keys. I won't give them my keys. Hey, you want to take the car for the test drive? I'm in the passenger seat.
There you go.
I won't give out my keys that easy.
That's what comes out to. Are you part of their system or are they part of your system? All right. Good day. Enjoyed it. All right. Thank you very much.
sometimes I leave these meetings and I feel like, how in the world did I set